welcome back. Your dreams were your ticket out. Welcome back to that same old place that you laughed about. Well, the names have all changed.
Welcome to another edition of Neighborhood Training. As you saw from last week, we're going to be concentrating on the far eastern section of Falmouth, part of the village of Falmouth called Warcoit. Warcoit is bounded by Edwards Boatyard, the Childs River, all the way out to the Mashpee town line. And this week we're going to be working down the Red Brook Road, Ostrom Road, and Meadow Neck area of Warcoit, of that section. And as you see, this is about the area we're looking at here. Now this is all Mashpee over here, and today we're going to be working our way down around this area here, this little neck of land right here. So without any further ado, we will just kind of overview some of the main roads. I wanted to just focus in a little bit on this area here. This is when I use my distance calculations, I'll be talking about Salt Hay Road, and just as a reference point, you know, it's the little neighborhood of Salt Hay Road. Okay, I'll just work my way up here, pan out a little bit here. If this computer will cooperate here. Okay. All right. So this is what we're looking at here. Red Brook Road, coming right up here by where Martin Road crosses over Route 28. Red Brook Road running all the way down and into Mashpee. This area over here, actually right here, is where the town line breaks. Right in there is where the town line is here. But Red Brook runs right into there and then all the way down into Mashpee. And then we have this intersection right up over here, which ends up, begins Ostrom Road, and then Ostrom runs all the way down to Meadow Neck. And Meadow Neck actually starts right here at the juncture of Matoxic and runs all the way down. Meadow Neck runs all the way into Mashpee, again down at Secaucet Island. So we'll spend some time on that. That's the area that we're talking about, some of the side roads that are in that area. We last week we talked about the Carlandy Circle area of Warcoit, and we're just going to move a little further down Red Brook and take a look. In the first road we come to is Dodson, not Tessina. Okay, we'll get down to Dodson. Here we go. The first road we get to off of Red Brook on the left is Dodson Way, and as you see, that has about 16 houses on it. They're all, you know, single-family wood frame houses. Just runs down a little cul-de-sac down the end, and next we run into Tessina Way, Tessina Drive, actually almost the same type of a development straight in with a cul-de-sac at the end. I don't know, probably quite a few years ago, probably 10 or 15, we did have a house fire down in here, but we haven't had much lately. And as we run down Red Brook, come into Quashnet. Quashnet Way runs down, And these houses here are all relatively common size, probably the 1,500 square foot size. This house down here is a little bit larger, and the rest of them probably 2,500, 3,000 square foot. And then we come into the Overlook Circle neighborhood. And here as we enter Overlook, as we'll see on the other maps, when we turn to the left, the lower numbers are over here and the higher numbers are to the right. And once again, this is the town line here. And then we'll just work our way down Ostrom. There is no development or neighborhoods off of Ostrom Road, but one particular thing about Ostrom Road is all these little, I don't know, I guess I mentioned on one of the sheets about these being hidden houses. These are all houses that are on relatively long roads, and their driveways may not be that well marked, but that's just a characteristic of this neighborhood and probably quite a few other neighborhoods in Falmouth. But as you can see here, they're quite a bit of a setback off the road. So if they're probably not that great well marked as far as their house numbers, but just something to be aware of when you're coming down Ostrom Road. And then we'll come into the Meadowneck Road, starting here on Metoxic, and we just work our way down. The first road we come to is Hamlin Point Road. As you see, these are all relatively small cul-de-sac type neighborhoods. These roads down here, the Hamlin Point, Duck Blind, and Salt Hay, all relatively new, probably within the last 10 years, and they are probably on the larger size of the houses, probably the 2,500 square foot plus houses, a lot of setbacks, of the construction. So just something to keep in mind. A lot of these houses that we see down here we see again all these long driveways, which we need to consider if we're going to this house here down on Meadowneck, that we won't get a good view of the house. We won't get a good view of whether there's a house, actual fire at that house or not. So this is where it becomes important that our protocols and our SOGs, if we get a report of a building fire there, that we lay in, we catch the hydrant and we lay into the house. Because if we're going to get into a place like this and we're going to drive up to the house and then suddenly realize there's a fire and we did not lay in, then we have to bring the second engine in, has to lay in, and we have to get the ladder truck in, and so on and so forth. So just something to keep in mind. That's one of the reasons we have that SOG, is for safety. And as you see, this Salt Hay Road. And when I do my distances on this particular presentation, you'll see they all go to Salt Hay Road. And Meadowneck just travels on down till we get to the town line here with Secaucet Island. And once, while we're right here, I'll just mention briefly about Secaucet Island and Monomoskoye Island. They're both on our line response with the town of Mashpee. So we will be rolling right out the door when they get a report of a building fire down here. I think we have been going down if there's a motor vehicle accident down there, but mostly it's for building fires down there. So it is part of our area that we should be aware of in Mashpee, and the difference between the two, because you can make a difference. They send you to Monomoskoye Island and you think you're going to Secaucet Island. It's a long way around, so you can't make that mistake. So this is Secaucet Island here. A lot of small houses, pretty close together, cottages. There is a boatyard, the Little River Boatyard right here. So it's something to be aware of when you're going down there. And this is Monomoskoye Island off of here, which you get to off of Red Brook. So Monomoskoye Island Road you get off of Red Brook. Secaucet Island you get off of Meadow Neck. And just to show you that that's Secaucet Island there. I mean Monomoskoye. You come off of Red Brook and come right down into Monomoskoye, and it is a pretty long neck here, but it's Monomoskoye is all residential, whereas Secaucet has that little river boatyard there. All right, so that's what we're looking at there. I just want to go out a little bit while we're right here. Okay. So that's what the area of Falmouth that we're looking at. And just briefly look here. We are in the Far East, Part 2. We're looking at the Red Brook, Ostrom Road, Meadow Neck neighborhood. Now, there are hydrants throughout this area. This whole neck of land that we're looking at has hydrants. Not too many years ago, there was not any hydrants throughout this whole area. But within probably the past 10 or 15 years, they did put hydrants in, so we don't have to worry about that anymore. And there is approximately 150 houses in this whole area, and they range from 1 to 3 story wood frame. I didn't see any other type of construction down there, and I just rough guess it as around 300 folks live down there. But Red Brook Road, mentioned before, 28 to the Mashpee town line down over on Red Brook and then down Mashpee in that area. Now the odd numbers are on the right hand side if you're heading in from Route 28. So as I mentioned before, we have Dodson, not Dawson, and we talked about Dawson Way being out in Hatchville. And the dispatchers, that's one of the things you got to pronounce the roads right and get the right road from the caller right from the beginning and confirm it with your 911 screen. This is where we can have a mix-up right here. So it's important to know. Probably 16 houses, and mostly they are capes and ranches in probably 1,000 to 2,000 square foot. Tessina, the same thing. Quashnet Way, as I mentioned, is one larger house at the end. Overlook Circle. And as you enter, turn to the end, and I didn't put in the. Should erase that. It's part of my other one there. There you go. Okay. Okay. And then Ostrom Road. If you're coming down Ostrom from Red Brook, the odd numbers are on the right hand side, and that intersects down with Meadow Neck. And then off of Meadow Neck we have Hamlin Point Road, Duck Blind, Salt Hay, and they're all in the 6 to 12 houses in the neighborhood, wood frame. These ones here are all larger, less than 10 years old, probably 10 years old, a little bit more than that, but they are the larger 2,000 plus square foot. And the special considerations that we mentioned is the, as I mentioned, the hidden houses in this area here. The Mashpee Response District, the Line Response District that we will be rolling to. And also I mentioned briefly this Mashpee Station 2 that they're building off of Red Brook Road in Mashpee. I'll just shoot briefly over to that while we're on that topic. And here's our reference points here. where we come down Red Brook and we go over the line into Mashpee. This area here, as I mentioned before when I was talking about in back of Cash's Trail, how forested it is. As you can see here, there's a large area of woodland undeveloped there, and in driving by you'll see it is all pines, so there is a potential that we could have a pretty good size fire in here. And as we mentioned before, this whole area here is undeveloped and will continue to be undeveloped, and it doesn't take much of a jump to cross the road here and to get into this whole area here, which is pretty well done. Okay, so we were talking about the Mashpee Station 2. Mashpee is building a fire station probably in this area here, not too far from New Seabury on the Red Brook Road. The current thinking is that they're building the station, but they're not quite sure how they're going to man it. So we're going to continue on with our line response districts as they are right now until they get that station fully staffed and we know what's going on. So that being that, we will look at that. Okay, so this is what we were talking about before, is these areas being quite a bit away from the rest of Falmouth, and the response distances to Salt Hay Road, 3.5 miles from Station 5. Okay, and a lot of it is back roads, getting up to 28, whether you come down Metoxet or whether you come down Red Brook. Probably to get to Salt Hay Road, I would say come down Metoxet and then the Meadowneck. But you're probably looking, at 8 minutes probably by the time we get the dispatch and get everything out. And Station 1, headquarters is 7.5 miles away. So here we are again, 25, or the rescue. If the medics are looking for a second medic, you're talking your next help is going to be probably 4 to 6 minutes behind you. So so it becomes important for the Station 5 personnel to get all those to start the incident right and to do everything according to the plan. And Station 4, your third engine, is 8.4 miles away. So we're talking 15 minutes plus before your third engine gets there. So that's why it's important for the first engine to lay in, make room for the ladder truck. The second engine in, be headquarters to grab that hydrant and make sure that hydrant's connected, because by the time you get there, they're probably going to be out of water. 100 gallons a minute with a 750 tank, right, gives us 7.5 minutes of water. So we should be able to, even with a 2.5, we should be able to get a tank of water before 21 gets there and hooks in. But your third engine is going to be a bit delayed, and I just threw these in just to give you an idea on your secondary resources beyond the first alarm. Station 3 is 9 miles away, Station 2 is 10, and Mashpee's headquarters station is only 4.3 miles away. So if we get a second alarm down there with some of these larger houses, we will be calling Mashpee in. If they have their manpower and if their station is covered and available, we'll pull them in and we'll bring one of their engines to the scene. But it all depends on whether they're available. We're gonna depend on our resources first. If they're available, great. So that's where we have from that. And I just want to briefly just touch on that. That's just the area that we're talking about, and as you can see, there's hydrants dotting this whole peninsula as we go through. So we're in good shape with that. I'm not sure about Secaucet Island or Monomoskoy Island. I'm not too sure about what Mashpee has done out there for hydrants, but we do know that if we need to lay in, that we can lay in from the border, the town line, and the last hydrant on Meadow Neck will get us along pretty well. Okay. I just want to see where this map is going to go with us here. Oh, I thought it would kind of give us where that last hydrant is. Okay, well, there's our last hydrant we were talking about. If we need to lay in, into Mashpee, and that's not going to show it's console island. But anyway, we could probably get 1,200 feet pretty good with that. I just want to briefly hit a couple of these. The houses, just to show you some of the typical buildings. This is just a typical Cape near the garage. This is on Quashnet Way in Wacoit. Nothing spectacular about that. Nothing really different than we would have normally. This place here is a small house on Overlook Circle, and I only took the picture because it is an unusual structure within the neighborhood. Most of the other houses are ranches and capes, but this one here is kind of a half cape. And I wanted to point out that it is a cute little half cape. Behind here it does drop off, and there is water in the back from the estuary that runs up behind there. So we just have, if we were to ladder the rear of the building or something, just to show there's a little bit of a change there. And this house here is just an example. I believe this is on Salt Hay Road. I believe so. Anyway, this is the building, one of the typical of those houses that are on Salt Hay, Hamblin Point. And they are rather large. As you see, we're talking about 2.5-story, good size square foot, and also we will notice that there's a pretty large L to the rear of the building as well. So even though this part of the building is pretty large in itself, we also have a pretty good section here, and there is good. There we go. So, and these newer developments down in the end have underground utilities. So this house here is beautiful. We just pull the ladder, leave the front of the building open, swing the ladder up, and we got it. And the same thing with Quashnet, I believe, doesn't have hydrants either. So we will go with that. Let me just see if and Quashnet Way doesn't either. So we're in good shape. I want to mention briefly, just look at this. This is just our topography map that we kind of clue in on. But it's pretty flat. The areas that do have, obviously, we do descend down into these boggy areas like here, and all these embankments along the edge here are a little bit of a drop off as well, because we do get to a low point but then. But as you can see, even from this map here, it's pretty populated. There's a lot of houses around. This map here, here we go. I just wanted to point out, I want to see if this is going to show us. It's a pretty good map here. This is the one that drives the dispatch map, and sometimes it gives us the utilities in that area, but I don't see the top of my head, so we'll leave it at that. The newer development, as we'll see when we pull in, no overhead. No overhead wires. So that about wraps that up, and that is the Far East, Part 2, the Red Brook Ostrom Meadow Neck neighborhood. All right, thank you, and we'll catch you next time, where we will look move a little bit further west, where we'll look in the Metoxic Road area, and we will move up into the center of Wacoit We'll look more in the Moonicus Road area, and we'll get into the village of Waquoit. All right, thank you, and stay safe.